Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Sandals Insider. My name is Megan, and today we are going to continue our series talking about weddings at Sandals and Beaches Resorts. So, just as a quick reminder, I am a travel advisor who strictly sells sandals and beaches. I don't sell any other properties. And so I know these brands very, very well, which is why I decided to make these videos. Also, weddings are a passion of mine. I have had a wedding planning company in the States for the past 14 years. I love weddings. I love everything about them. And so when I get to work on a Sandals or Beaches wedding, it's so exciting for me because I get to combine two things that I love. So, okay, here we go. Today we are going to talk about some additional expenses that are not included in the wedding packages provided at Sandals and Beaches. So, when you are starting to do your research and look at possibly having a wedding at one of the properties, you're going to see that your wedding is going to fall into one of their various package prices, which is a flat fee. So, on top of that, there are additional fees that they do outline. So, these are not hidden costs by any means. They're not trying to keep these a secret. But if you've never planned a wedding before, these may be things that while you're reading the packages, you just don't think about. So, if you have any questions on this or need help, planning your wedding or just have questions, my services as a travel advisor are 100% free. I do not upcharge the rooms or the wedding rates, so please reach out if you have interest in knowing more about a wedding at Sandals or Beaches. Like I said, I love working on these. As a travel advisor, I do have to be involved from the beginning. Unfortunately, I cannot jump in midway through. They won't let me do that. So if you are in the early stages of your planning, think you might need help, just know that travel advisor commission is included in the rates that you're seeing online anyway. So you might as well reach out and have somebody assist you with the big day. Okay, so getting into it, here are the top five things that I see people add on that become extra expenses. Okay, so number one is going to be the location or date of your ceremony. Okay, so if you go down to Sandals and you decide to get married on a Wednesday on the beach at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, no additional fees. There's plenty of times, locations, dates that do not incur an additional fee. But you are going to see an additional fee if you get married on a Friday or Saturday because weekends are prime time. You're going to be charged an additional fee if you request that twilight hour. So they're going to call it the Kiss Me at Twilight time, the Kiss Me at Twilight package. That's going to usually be about 5 o'clock. So that comes at a premium fee as well. And then on the resort, there are certain locations at each property that cost a bit more. So, for example, those over the water chapels that you see in all of the photos, those are going to be an additional fee. If you get married on the beach, no additional fee. If you get married in one of the garden gazebos, no additional fee. But the over the water chapel and some other premier locations are going to inquire an additional fee. So you can inquire about that ahead of time so that you know what that is. Okay, moving on. So, as a wedding planner, I know a wedding day typically starts out for the ladies getting hair and makeup done, sometimes for the guys too, but most of the time I see it for the ladies. There are great spas at these resorts. Hair and makeup services, however, are not included in your package. So, can you do your hair and makeup yourself on the day of the wedding? 1,000%. You can do it yourself. You do not have to go to the spa. But if you want to treat yourself, have your hair done, if you want your makeup done, maybe you get to the resort a little bit early and you even want to go in and have like a trial. All of these things come at an additional fee. Now, you are going to get a discount at the spa, but it is going to be an additional fee for those services to have those done. And I do see a lot of people go down and get their makeup done or their nails done and stuff like that. Okay, number three, the additional fee is going to be decor. So you're going to see a lot of photos online of beautiful weddings at Sandals and Beaches, beautifully decorated floral arches, things in the aisle, beautiful centerpieces. Just know that those things are not included. So any additional decor, any additional floral that you are bringing in, that is going to be an additional fee. And just like here in the States, when you get married, most of the time that's going to be a little bit more than what you think it is going to be. Sandals is very transparent about what the charges are. If you reach out to me, I'm happy to send you the decor list and talk it through with you of what some of these things are. But you can get married on the beach and not have a floral arch. You can get married in a gazebo. You can get married in the over the water chapel and not bring in any additional decor, and it's still lovely. You still have a gorgeous backdrop. But think about when you're sitting down to dinner, what goes on the tables. You might want something a little bit small in terms of a centerpiece or a candle or lanterns or shells or whatever the vibe you're going for may be. Those things are going to be an additional fee. So, something to think about. That's sometimes where you see a little extra cost added as well. And then number four, we're going to talk about is lighting. So you think about your beautiful wedding. Even if you're getting married in the that 5 o'clock time, you've still got plenty of light. It's gorgeous. But after your ceremony, you have cocktail hour and then you have dinner. So sometimes, depending on the time of year or where you're doing it or the time of day, you might need some additional lights. So if that's not something that you really want to pay extra for, when you're talking to your wedding planning specialist, let them know that and they can perhaps advise you on places on the resort that you might not need that extra lighting. If you want to have dinner on the beach, you're probably going to need some string lights, some tiki torches. They don't have lights down there just as, they just don't have them. So you have to bring some lighting in. Other places on the property, maybe if it's a manicured garden area, there might be lights already around that you don't need them, but just something to think about. Sometimes that does come up. And then lastly, just thinking about a typical wedding in the States, the progression of that is typically ceremony, cocktail hour, dinner, and then what comes after dinner. A lot of times there's dancing. So if you are having a bunch of people come down and you are doing that epic wedding package, you are going to see that a DJ is already included for after dinner dancing, which is great. But if you are in any of the lower packages, like the Bliss package, there is no music included in that package. And so if you want to have dancing after the wedding, where you're not going to one of the bars at the resort, you're having them come to you, that's going to be an additional charge. So dinner music, or, they have all sorts of entertainment. They have some really cool, like local musicians, steel drum bands, strings. It's different. It varies by property. You can also just have a DJ or pre-recorded music, but that is going to be something that's going to be that additional fee as well. Again, if you're in the Epic Wedding package, DJ included. If you're below that, that's going to be an add-on, and a lot of people do want to have some sort of music party vibe going afterwards, after the dinner. So that was my easy five first things that I always like people to think about when you are considering a wedding. All of that considered, still going to Sandals or Beaches to have your wedding is going to save you time, energy, stress, and a ton of money. Like I said, I do weddings up in the States. I've done them for a long time. I've done hundreds and hundreds of weddings. And the weddings that happen on the property at Sandals or Beaches are typically always less expensive than getting married up here. So thanks for watching. If you have any questions, please drop them in the comments below. Shoot me a message. You're always going to get me. I will respond. We can set up a time to chat, Zoom. I'm happy to go through any other questions that you have about your potential wedding at Sandals or Beaches and help you find the best fit for you and your guests. Okay, thank you so much. Bye.